What's up, good people? Welcome back to the channel today for another review. Adversary and I were ready to review the new film, You People, which is coming to Netflix January 27th. It did have a theatrical run, so it is shown in some theaters as of, I believe the date was January 20th, if I'm not mistaken. Let me actually get that for you all real quick. Yeah, January 20th, you could check it out in theaters, which I'll just quickly say, if you got a chance to check this out in theater, highly recommend it. I think this is a fantastic film. And I think that when you saw the trailer, I think that was one thing to catch your eye. Then you start looking at the cast, you start saying like, oh boy, like man, this is star studded. But I mean, it goes no further than the true reason you need to see this film is the GOAT Eddie Murphy returns back to the big screen, and man, was he fantastic for sure. So like, I don't want to take away from anybody else in this film because Lauren London being in this film is a huge deal. The ageless Nia Long comes in. I mean, the cast up and down the board is fantastic, but like I gotta call it for what it is. Eddie Murphy returning back is a huge deal for me, and I just said, listen, I don't care what's happening in this film. I don't care if they're just looking at paint dry for 2 hours. If Eddie Murphy's in it, I'm going to check it out. So, yeah, you people, folks, check it out on Netflix January 27th. And if it is showing in your local theaters, and it was showing as of January 20th, then I highly recommend you do so. Adversary, before I give it to you to kind of give me your thoughts about this film, let me just quickly go over what this film is about here. You have Ezra, who is played by Jonah Hill, who also wrote this film, and Amara, who is Lauren London, who plays Amara. So you have Ezra and Amara, Lauren London and Jonah Hill. They're a new couple, but as much as finding your person is a challenge, and then achieving certain milestones in a relationship to ultimately wanting to get married is sort of a work in progress itself. They're challenged to the utmost by their family dynamics, and you're talking about the clash in cultures, societal expectations and perspectives, and generational differences, and all of this too with a mix of comedy. So like when you talk about projects that Kenya Barris is known for, one I think the most iconic one is Blackish. I mean, you're taking those types of conversations that was happening on that show, and you're really applying it to a very specific situation in terms of you have a Black woman who comes from a Muslim household dating a Jewish guy who comes from a Jewish household, and what does that look like, and would love truly triumph over all of the challenges around them? I mean, when you think about this here, you got folks from two different walks of life who are like coming together, and ultimately would love and compassion be the victor in this. Would that be enough for the two of them to achieve their goal in terms of coming together and walking life through with one another? So it's a lot going on with this film, but we'll break it all down. But yeah, Adversary, overall, man, what's your thoughts of this film, man?
I loved it. I thought it was very well done, very well put together. I thoroughly enjoyed the cast. I thought the writing was very good. Eddie Murphy was amazing. Eddie Murphy did everything he was supposed to in this movie, and then some. Incredible performance from Lauren London as well. Like, I really, really believed her for this role. I thought the movie was great. It reminded me a little of the joint with Adam Sandler and Chris Rock. I forget what it was called, but similar kind of premise. I think the conversations were the way they were put together in the movie were good. I thought the character, Jonah Hill's best friend, her character, I loved her as well. She was she was very on point, man. And I was thinking about it, like, I guess toward, as the movie came to a close, I looked at the overall scenario, and I felt like, granted, it's a movie, certain aspects of it, exaggerated for entertainment, but that's the whole movie itself, I felt like was a viable situation. Like, I feel like a father whose daughter's getting married to a guy that they don't really know and is from an entirely different culture, um, that hits on several levels. It's like, yeah, is that far-fetched? Would a dad really go out of his way or go to certain lengths to figure out this other person?
Yeah.
So I thought it was portrayed in a way where, yes, it's a movie, but a lot of it felt very real as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I think films like this, and then when you talk about the exaggeration, sure, that's going to take some people out. But I think when you think about what this film is actually trying to achieve, the narrative that this film is trying to, the narrative behind the film, that the film is obviously trying to, start conversations. And I think when you have these different dynamics in this film, you're getting perspectives and angles that, sure, you may be aware of, sure, it may be a representation of your perspective, but being able to see it around, like, what does a Jewish mother who always wanted a black daughter, what does that conversation looks like, and the bouncing off of the two of them, from the mother who feels she's just in her reasoning, but happen to be humble because everything that she thought was right ends up being wrong. And then what does a Muslim dad who is truly pro-black have to say to a Jewish
Son-in-law.
son-in-law?
Yeah.
And you're talking about just the dad, having to, protect his daughter, but also this other dynamic. And then when you get, the families coming together, and then the love interest kind of being caught in the crossfire. I mean, you're getting all these conversations. So truly, if there's one thing about this film, it is about perspective, and it is about conversation, and it will drive dialogue out of this film. I think there's going to be a lot of folks who are going to really like dive into some content with this, because yeah, it's funny as hell. And honestly, I feel like the film is kind of set in 3 different phases. It's about 2 hours long, but like the beginning was like introducing the plot, introducing the dynamics, the different pieces of the puzzle, the different chess pieces on the board. So you had to establish what's at stake here. The middle half really drove the comedy. And once you got all your laughs out, and then they homed it back in and basically says, now let's have these conversations. We done introduced these things to y'all. We done got the nervousness out with all the comedy. Now let's really have these conversations. And I think that, like, wow, when you talk about communicating, it ain't always just about talking, but it is about listening as well too. And you're also getting that as well, as we being 2 black men, and we can speak about our experiences and whatnot, but that doesn't mean that always trump every conversation just because of what we've been through. And I think this conversation, that this film definitely has you at moments saying, yeah, I can relate to that. Oh yeah, I think that, but oh man, maybe I do need to unprogram certain either narratives or all those sorts of different things.
And I was gonna say, I think conversation is very important, but I also believe action is just important. As you always hear that in the news, and we'll have conversations and it's good, it starts the conversation, that's cool, but it's like, if all we're doing is talking, that's all we ever going to be doing is talking. So the talking is important, but then, like you said, the listening, understanding where people are coming from, and being able to look at your scenario or how you move and say, hey, you know what, maybe I do need to shift this, or maybe there is what someone was saying was real. I thought that the way the movie depicted, like even the mom we were talking about, like with the mom and her character, Jonah Hill's mom, I thought it was depicted very accurately. I think that's a real thing. When you have people that have had absolutely no experience with another person or a person from another community, literally, like, that's how it's like, it shouldn't be awkward like that. But I feel like with especially today's climate, you just get there. Everybody's so scared to say anything. Oh, I might have found, I might do it, I might. And then so the way the mom really didn't know what to say. And so what she thought she was saying, the way she thought she approached it, which was non-offensive, actually comes out being even more offensive. So it's it begs the question. And I think it gives people, when you watch it, it gives you a chance to really, stop, process everything, and you know, be able to, yeah, exactly,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to
Mm-hmm.
say, all right, I, like you said, I had this point of view, or I felt this particular way, but now being able to sit down, really go one on one with you, get your perspective. Okay, maybe I can see it that way, or even if I don't agree, at least I can understand why you see it that way.
Yeah, and like you talk about Ezra's parents, I mean they're labeled as semi woke and progressive, and sure it's easy to say they mean well, but like again when you think that you're justified in everything that you do and say, and that you're not subjected to criticism,
Right.
then that's problematic in society as a whole, and like I think this film does a really good job in really uh interjecting these conversations, you know, when you're talking about culture, you're talking about black exploitation. And like I should have said this pretty early, because I know folks are going to say, oh, this is another very woke, et cetera type of film, and pushing a whatever type of narrative. No, I don't think so at all.
I didn't get that vibe, and I was looking for that specifically because a lot of stuff that's coming out lately is doing that.
Yeah,
I was very cognizant and aware of whether or not that was going to happen. I didn't
yeah.
get that vibe at all from this.
Yeah, and I you know, director Kenya Barris, written by Kenya Barris and Jonah Hill. So like when you're familiar with Kenya Barris's project, again, when we talk about Blackish and stuff like that, like the type of shows we kind of grew up on. You talk about, you know, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Family Matters, and whatnot. I think he took that recipe and kind of modernized it with Blackish, and introduced these black household conversations in a very normalized way. And I think that same recipe goes into this film. And then when you add Jonah Hill, who I you know, I'll just go off the limb and say it, like he's very appreciative of the culture. He's absolutely an ally to the culture, and like and like I truly like after I watched his documentary on Netflix, his therapy session, like I truly believe that, like, you know, when you talk about folks who just want to like, and they even said it in this film. And matter of fact, I had to like put this in my notes, because this is something I had not heard in the way I heard it say. But like when you talk about folks that aren't black, but you can tell are very much want to be and is immersed within the culture, you understand that, like, is he a researcher or is he a
Yeah,
witness? I
it'd be
love that
tough. I
line,
love
and
that line. Yeah,
so I think I think there's an appreciation for the culture that he
yeah,
completely displays in this. And I mean not just the culture in terms of just attire and lingo and whatnot, but I mean like
right.
they took they took the whole West Coast culture. I mean, they hit
Mhm.
every single big landmark in LA. So you got that West Coast culture on display, but then the music soundtrack, which we know he's very much immersed into the hip hop culture. He's never been shy about that. That's what he grew up to. So
Yeah,
like the soundtrack in this is banging. So like I think again when I see Jonah Hill's name now, there's never a bit of hesitation when I was like, oh, he's gonna do something pertaining black culture. Okay, cool. I know he's gonna do well with it. He's gonna do well by it, shall
he
I
go.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
yeah,
you add Kenya Barris in there. I'm like, yeah, for sure. This is
yeah.
gonna rock out. That's
And
how I feel.
I thought they did, like I said, the cast, the putting the plot together and making it a cohesive thing. I thought
Yeah.
they did a very good job. They didn't do too much in either direction.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get any agenda pushing vibes
That.
from it. It was a solid joint, and I think it get, like, even what you were saying with Jonah Hill, just in general. Um, People, I don't think there's anything wrong with people love, like he said, people like what they like. It is what it is. You can't be put in a box. It's the same thing. Like, I don't know if I had this conversation with you, or maybe it might have been Terrell. And I was saying the same thing. Like, back in the day, a nerd wasn't a cool, like, it wasn't cool if they called you a nerd. Like, that was, you might fight off of that. Whereas now the definition of what a nerd is, what a nerd does, is different. And then so it's like, if I like this particular kind of thing, does that make me a nerd? Like, I watch anime. I love anime. I got a Naruto hoodie on right now. But the crazy part is, growing up, it was all hood dudes. That's why there wasn't nobody watching no anime. It was all hood dudes in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the nerd attachment to it, my mind doesn't think of it because of how I came into it. But it's like, fast forward to now, that's the label it gets. So it's like, being into or amused by, entertained by whatever it is that you like. It's like, it's cool, embrace it. And I think as long as you're doing it in a way where you're really trying to understand and really be a part of the culture, not like, and like you said, not tokenize it or culture vulture it, but really it's a part of you. Like, I begin, and cats that know me, people that be around me, like, they know, they be having jokes about time. Oh, you're the darkest Asian I know. They be having big jokes with me because they know, like, I really rock with this. I love, I'm a huge fan of Asian culture.
Yeah. And listen, it's no secret, Jonah Hill born in LA. So, this is what he grew up in and around. And I don't know if there's anybody that had any bit of hesitation on, but I'm just saying now, when I see his name attached to something, I just know it's going to be done right, especially when you're dealing with the Black culture, because that's a thing that we do have reservations on at times. We say, like, okay, you want to write and represent us, but also too, he also represents the Jewish community as well too. And I will say that this film will make you uncomfortable for about 30 minutes or so, because they have the uncomfortable conversations. You need to talk about it when the person thinks there's a reflection that they know what another culture is and they don't, and they just trying to fit in and whatnot. Those things happen. I've been around people who aren't Black but want to be down with the Black folks, and I think they're cool people. But yet, dude, can they walk my shoes? Do they know what it means to be
a Black
person?
What it really is, right?
For sure. Right. And like, this film erases that pretending. It says, let's have these conversations. Let's talk about the difference between the Holocaust and slavery, and they explore all these different things. But again, I think that, like, the film does a fantastic job in balancing the heavy conversation, the hard conversation, the difficult conversation with comedy, the star power. I mean, when you look down the list of names attached to this here, again, Jonah Hill, Lauren London, Nia Long, Eddie Murphy, Lala, Mike Epps, Dion Cole, Andrea Savage. It just goes
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I hope I said that right.
The mom. Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. So, frankly, to sum this up, I enjoyed this film. I thought this film was going to be dope. I skipped the trailer because I seen like 10 seconds of it, and I saw Eddie Murphy, and I said, "Yep, sign me up." Yep. And Eddie Murphy makes it very clear that he's the GOAT, because when it's all said and done, Eddie Murphy steals every single scene that he's in, and I don't care what anybody has to say.
And it didn't feel like he was trying it. Like, his performance came across so effortless. It was almost like, yo, is he acting or is he literally just going back and it's seamless?
It's just a quick reminder, folks, that, like, he does this.
Eddie Murphy he really does this. And for anybody to feel like, oh, he might have fell, or he ain't got it no more. Listen,
hold his beer. And Anthony Anderson's in it, somebody else who's also from LA, from Compton. Miami's in there. So, like, I think that when you go into this film, you don't have anything to worry about. Just go and have a lot of fun. Get ready for the difficult conversations that will not take you out the film, but the conversations that will make you either want to have conversations or add commentary, because there will be moments you're gonna be like, oh, if somebody said that to me, I know what I was gonna say. Or if somebody tried to, like, slander me with that, I know how I was gonna act. And then should I add? The last thing I want to add is that with all of this, it still is based within a love story. So I do love how it still came full circle, and there was a moment still to be happy and excited and cheerful, because when you talk about dating, when you're talking about, especially you're dating interracially, when you talk about all these different challenges that the society presents with that, it shows you that, like, yes, it can overcome with the means of conversation from everybody involved. Good theme to all the other themes that's in this film.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, that's really what it is about, is just having genuine love for people. And that's the point. When that's present, everything else is going to be what it need to be. You know what I mean? I thought the line he had in the movie was very interesting, where he had referred back to what Mo had said about Black people and white people being the cheater and the woman that can't get over it. I thought that was a very clever way to present that idea. And I think ultimately the way you get to the point, or where we can get to the point where we're past it, is when the things that need to be addressed get addressed in a real way, and there's action then taken that needs to be taken so that things can move forward. I think that's what it is at the end of the day. But like I said, long as the love is present in the scenario, you good.
Yep.
All
right, folks. Well, you got the opportunity now to check out You People, coming to Netflix January 27th and in limited theaters right now. Check the film out. Jump in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about this film. Let us know some of your favorite moments. There's tons of quotable lines in this. Just all those good stuff. Let us know in the comments below. But y'all know what it is. Stay tuned because we got more reviews and content coming to you real soon. Thank you for watching, folks.